I'm Ray Hill, and I'm a Houstonian. I'm an ex-convict. I was sentenced once to 160 years in the Texas penitentiary. I didn't do all that time. I'm not a whole lot older than I look. I did 4 years, 4 months, and 17 days, and convinced a federal court to put the state of Texas into arbitration, and they changed my sentence from 20 consecutive 8-year sentences to 20 concurrent 8-year sentences. So I had 8 to do, and as a trustee, I did that in 4 years, 4 months, and 17 days. I got out in 1975, therefore I've been out 37 years. And there's two things about that. I was more afraid to get out of prison than I had been to go in, because if you're in that environment, you just adapt to live that way, and when you adapt to that environment, you are ill-adapted to live anywhere else. One of the reasons prisons don't work is that they assimilate and acculturize people who are used to living in a relatively free and open society, and there's a lot of argument about that, but they put them into an entirely militaristic war camp society, and if they adapt to that, they are ill-adapted to accept the responsibilities that come along with freedom. So I was scared to death, and I decided that what I would do when I get out is get structure in my life, and by doing that, what's the closest thing anyone can think of to prison? Well, it's college, of course. It's another massive bureaucracy where somebody tells you everything to do, and so I signed up to take a class load, mostly courses I'd had before, but if you say you're going for education, you get state help to do that if you're an ex-convict, and so I went there. While I was registering, there was a spiral notebook page taped to the wall. It said, "Join student government." And I said, "Well, what does that cost?" And they said, "Nothing." And I said, "The price is right. Where do I do that?" And they said, "That table over there." So I went over and I signed up running for the president of the student body of University of Houston Downtown College. Well, the incumbent then signed up, and I had a popular opponent, so that meant I had a campaign. So I campaigned on the slogan, "Give a convict a break." And that caught the student body imagination, and I became president of the student body of University of Houston Downtown College. Dr. Judon Boney was chancellor. He called me out and said, "Mr. Hill, how is it that somebody who has been out of prison less than 90 days is the president of my student body?" And I said, "Well, Dr. Boney, some of us do politics better than others." The other point I really wanted to make of why prisons don't work is once people adapt to prison, they don't fear prison anymore. For a lot of people, being adapted into prison culture, suddenly prison becomes your mother, and you want to go back home on a regular basis. 70% of people who go to prison in Texas one time will be back the second time. 80% of people who go to prison the second time in Texas will be back the third time. And if you go back to prison the third time, no matter how long the sentence, chances are you're going to spend most of your adult life in prisons, incarcerated, or under some kind of supervision. The reasons prison don't work is they become incubators for slaves. And Texas prison is a very poignant example of that. The land that is owned by the Texas prison system is the most rich, arable, river bottom land in this state. Now, I know about land. I'm the first generation of heel males, my ancestors, that did not push a mule through a living. So I know the value of good dirt, and I know what can be done in agriculture. In Texas prisons, the reason that land is in prison is because they replaced slavery after the Civil War with prisoners doing slave labor. So they took the same people that had been freed, propped up charges against them, put them in prison, and they put them back in the cotton fields and in the cane fields. That's why there are so many prisons near Sugar Land and the rest of the prison. I did my time on the Ramsey Plantation in Brazoria County. Good dirt, great water, everything you need to grow what you want, and they tear the land up by growing cotton every year because the state has a contract with the King of Sweden to sell its cotton production for the Swiss textile industry. If you want a piece of cotton, the cotton was picked by a Texas convict. Take your ass to IKEA. That's all they got. They don't have cotton from anywhere else in the world. My name is Ray Hill, and I've been in media all my life. You couldn't tell probably from that. But I want to thank you for watching Lawless America. I want you to understand this is a movement that involves not just these people whose faces are on the camera, but you as well. Freedom has never been free, but the budget for it can be reduced if more of us participate. We want our country back. Damn it, we built it, we have nurtured it, and it's time we had it back. Until 1973, the law in Texas was a sodomy statute where homosexual intimacy was punished as a felony. While I was in prison, they changed that law. And I met 5 old men who had been sentenced to life in Texas prison for being gay. That's just a minor example of people who want to smoke a joint or people who want to go do something that somebody else does not approve of. Everybody complains about the nanny state. Well, nanny packs a ruler and she will wrap your knuckles for nothing at all. You want to really reduce the cost of incarceration in this country? Release everybody that is there for a mere possession of drugs. Release everybody that is there for selling small amounts of narcotics. Excuse me, come get this, will you, for me? The fact of the matter is, most people are in prison either directly for drug-related offenses or indirectly because they got drunk and stoned and did the most incredibly stupid thing they ever would have done. If we treated this kind of addiction as a medical problem instead of a criminal justice problem, we could reduce our prison population by more than half, and at $30,000 a head a year out of your pocket, that ain't a bad deal. Well, I mean, we have gone completely crazy on sex offender supervision. In the first place, the whole offense is painted by such a broad brush. I know registered sex offenders wearing anklets who are living in the houses with their victims and their children that they had together simply because the law is carried out with the letter of the law. And I've covered that as a journalist for so long that I was on with a Fox News reporter, and I said, this is crazy. And she said, oh, you're just, you want everybody to get away with it. I said, talk to the lady who does the sex registration for Houston Police Department. And I called Officer Hernandez. Her first response is, God damn it, Ray Hill, you're always trying to get me into trouble. And I said, no, just tell the reporter. She's not going to record. Just tell her. She said, if I didn't have to look after all of the people they require me to look after, I could cut my hours in half and look after everybody that was dangerous by myself. And so even the people who do the drug registration things know that most of the people that they follow are not a danger to anybody, but because the law says that. Well, the law says it's illegal to do perjury. But if we actually indicted and tried every cop who lies under oath to get a phony conviction, then all the police would be in jail. You could have a police union meeting in the day room. But laws don't mean everything to everybody. But if it's emotional enough, no politician ever won a race by saying, I'm going to be reasonable about this.